When my daughter-in-law told me to leave, I smiled instead of crying. I smiled because that's all I could do. Inside, my heart was breaking, but I couldn't show it. I had raised my son with love, patience, and care, and now he seemed to forget everything I had done for him. I remember the morning clearly. The sunlight was soft through the kitchen window. The smell of tea was warm in the air. My son was sitting quietly at the table, and his wife, she looked at me with cold eyes. "Maybe it's better if you stay somewhere else for a while," she said. I nodded slowly. "Of course," I replied. My voice didn't shake. I smiled, even though I felt my whole world tipping. I walked out of that home carrying my small suitcase. The floorboards creaked under my feet, and each step sounded louder than it ever had before. I paused at the door, looked back at the place I had called my family, and felt a lump in my throat. But I kept walking. I had to. I didn't cry then. Not yet. I didn't know if I would ever cry. There was just a quiet ache in my chest, like the house had taken a part of me with it, and yet, I couldn't stop thinking about my son, about the boy I had raised with bedtime stories and scraped knees, about the man I had taught to be kind, honest, and respectful. How had it all slipped away so quietly? I didn't understand then. I still don't completely. But this is the story of what happened, and what I learned in the long months afterward. When silence became louder than words, and absence taught me more than presence ever could. I was never wealthy, but our home was full of love. My husband had passed away many years ago, leaving me alone with my little boy. His name is Samir. I still remember him as a baby, his tiny hands wrapped around my finger, the way he would giggle when I tickled him. He was my whole world. Life wasn't always easy, but we had each other. I worked odd jobs, cooked simple meals, and tucked him into bed every night with stories of brave heroes in faraway lands. I remember telling him, "Always be kind, my son. Kindness is what makes a person strong." And he listened. He really did. As he grew older, he became thoughtful, helpful, and caring. He would help neighbors, carry groceries for the elderly, and never missed an opportunity to make someone smile. I was proud of him, truly proud. I thought that my efforts, my love, and my guidance had shaped him into a good man. Then, when he was in college, he met her, his wife. At first, she seemed lovely, sweet, charming, and full of energy. I was happy for him. I wanted him to be happy. I tried to welcome her, to make her feel at home. I remember cooking her favorite dishes the first time she came to our house. Samir smiled so brightly, and I thought maybe she could be the missing piece of our little family puzzle. But slowly, things began to change. Small things at first. She would frown when I offered to help with chores. She would roll her eyes when I spoke to Samir. And little by little, I started feeling invisible in my own home. Still, I tried. I reminded myself that everyone needs time to adjust. I told myself to be patient. I didn't want to ruin my son's happiness. After all, I had raised him to be kind, not to judge others harshly. Our life continued like this for a while. I would wake early, make breakfast, and sit quietly in the corner while they chatted in the kitchen. I would watch Samir laugh and try not to let the sadness grow in me. It was a quiet kind of sadness, soft but heavy, like a shadow over my heart. I often remembered the nights we spent together when he was little. How he would cling to my hand after a nightmare. How he would whisper, "Mom, I'm scared," and I would hug him tight and promise, "I'll always be here." Those memories comforted me. They reminded me that no matter what happened, I had loved him well. And maybe I thought that love would be enough. But love, as I learned, doesn't always protect you from being forgotten. I remember the first time I felt truly unwelcome. It was a quiet evening. I was in the kitchen, washing the dishes after dinner, when I heard her voice. "Mom, could you not stay in the living room while we talk?" I froze. I didn't know what to say. I turned to look at her. Her face was polite, but her eyes were sharp, almost cold. Samir was standing beside her, awkward, unsure. I was just going to sit," I stammered softly. "You can sit somewhere else," she said. I nodded. I didn't argue. I simply moved to the small corner of the living room where no one would notice me. I told myself it was fine. Maybe she didn't mean it the way it sounded. Maybe it was just a bad day. But then it started happening more often. Little things at first. I would make tea in the morning, and she would take the cups before I could serve them to Samir. She would rearrange the kitchen the way she liked it, without asking me. She would criticize how I cooked, how I cleaned, even how I spoke sometimes. And Samir, he would stay quiet. He never defended me. He didn't argue, but he didn't support me either. I could see the tension in his shoulders, the discomfort in his eyes. But he didn't speak. One afternoon, I tried to talk to him gently. "Samir," I said, "I feel like I'm not welcome in my own home sometimes. Is there something I did wrong?" He looked down at his hands, then back at me. "Mom, it's nothing personal. I don't want to upset her." That one sentence cut deeper than anything she had ever said. Not upset her. Not me. Not the woman who raised him alone, who sacrificed so much for him. I realized then that he had started listening to her more than to me. That the boy I raised was changing. The days that followed were quiet, but heavy. I felt the silence between us grow. I tried to be patient. I tried to understand. I reminded myself that love is patient, love is kind. But deep down, a small, aching voice whispered that I was losing my son. Then came the arguments. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet words that stung in the heart. One evening, I was folding the laundry in the bedroom when I heard her speaking sharply. "Samir, I can't have your mother interfering in our life like this. She needs to leave some boundaries." I stopped. I wanted to disappear. I could hear him trying to calm her. "Please, Ayesha, it's not that serious," he said. "It is serious. She keeps criticizing me, the house, the way I do things. I can't live like this," she replied. I sank down onto the edge of the bed. I wanted to scream, but my voice didn't come. I just sat there listening, feeling each word like a knife twisting slowly in my chest. After that night, things began to change more noticeably. She would talk to Samir privately, leaving me out of conversations that had once included me. She would make plans without telling me, invite her friends over without notice, and slowly I felt like a stranger in the home I had built with love. Sometimes I would catch glimpses of the man I knew, my son, trying to balance between us. But those glimpses were fleeting. The rest of the time, he seemed distant, distracted, almost someone else entirely. I tried to speak up. I tried to explain my feelings. "Samir, I just want to be part of your life. I raised you and I want to support you," I said one evening, my voice trembling slightly. "I know, Mom," he said quietly. "I know you mean well, but it's complicated now. I have a life with her too." I swallowed hard. Complicated. That word felt like a wall between us. Complicated. I remembered when he was a child, how he would cry when he scraped his knee, how he needed me to hold him close and tell him it was okay. Complicated. It was more than a word. It was a shield she had built between us. And he, my own son, had stepped behind it. The small acts of exclusion began to pile up. She would speak over me during family meals. She would question my advice, dismiss my suggestions, and make small jokes at my expense. Sometimes, she wouldn't speak to me at all, leaving me alone in the room, invisible. I began to notice how Samir changed in subtle ways. He no longer sought my opinion first. He no longer shared his day with me. He stopped asking for my help, stopped seeking my advice. And when I tried to reach out, I was met with quiet avoidance. One afternoon, I overheard a conversation that shook me deeply. I was in the kitchen, drying the dishes when they were speaking in the living room. "I don't know why he still listens to her," Ayesha said. "Who, Mom?" Samir replied, hesitating. "Yes, she's always trying to control everything. She doesn't belong here," Ayesha said. My hands froze on the towel. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run out and tell him I had raised him to be kind, to respect his family, to honor those who loved him. But I stayed silent. I had no words. I didn't know how to fight this war without raising my voice. And I couldn't. So I swallowed the hurt day after day, letting it sit quietly in my chest. The turning point, I think, came with the invitations. Slowly, she began to host gatherings in the house without telling me. Friends, colleagues, even distant relatives I had known for years. She would speak to them in a way that excluded me, that made me feel invisible. Samir never stopped it. He never asked her to include me. He never defended me. One evening, they invited a few friends over for tea. I was in the kitchen, preparing snacks when they all arrived. I smiled and greeted them warmly, hoping to be part of the moment. But she turned to me and said, "Please, stay in the kitchen. You'll just be in the way." I nodded, my hands shaking slightly as I carried the tray. I felt a lump in my throat, but I forced a smile. I served the tea, stood quietly, and watched from the corner as my son laughed and chatted. He laughed, but not at me, not with me. And in that moment, I felt my heart break in a way that words cannot describe. The weeks turned into months. The exclusion became a pattern. The little ways she undermined me added up. My son, my beautiful, kind, strong son, was slipping away from me. He was becoming someone I didn't recognize. I tried reasoning with him. I tried gentle conversations. "Samir, I feel so distant from you," I said one night, my voice soft. "I just want to be close, like we used to be." "I know, Mom," he said, avoiding my gaze. "But I can't change things now. It's different." Different, another word that felt like a wall. I remember lying awake that night, staring at the ceiling, feeling the silence grow heavier in the room. Different, she had changed the rhythm of our family. She had built a wall around my son, and I was left outside, watching the warmth of our home slip away. Even small gestures of affection became rare. He no longer called me during the day, no longer asked for my opinion on simple things, no longer hugged me like he used to. Sometimes, I would see him look at me with a hint of guilt, but it never lasted long. She was always there, guiding, influencing, reshaping his life in ways I couldn't reach. I began to feel like a ghost in my own home. Not because he didn't love me, I knew he did, but because her presence had changed him. Slowly, gently, silently, he was being pulled away from me, and every time I tried to reach him, the space between us seemed to grow wider. I started spending more time outside the house, walking in the park, sitting quietly on a bench just thinking about all the years I had given to raising him, the nights I stayed awake, the tears I had wiped from his cheeks, the lessons I had taught him, and wondering if it had all been for nothing. But the truth was harder. It wasn't for nothing. I had raised him right. He was still good. He still had kindness, still had empathy, still had the heart I knew so well, but she had found a way to make him forget the home we had built together. And that was the hardest part. Not the words, not the exclusion, not even the coldness, but the slow, almost imperceptible forgetting. It was happening quietly, day by day, and I realized I was powerless to stop it. I still remember the day clearly. It started like any other, quiet and ordinary. The sunlight poured softly through the window, the aroma of tea drifting from the kitchen. I thought it would be just another day, another attempt to hold on. But that morning, something in the air felt different. A heaviness, almost like the house itself was aware of the storm to come. Samir didn't come to the kitchen for breakfast. I waited, quietly, hoping he would appear, hoping he would smile at me like he used to. But he didn't. Ayesha was there instead, moving around the kitchen as if she owned every inch of the space. She didn't greet me. She didn't smile. She simply started speaking, her words cutting through the air with calm precision. "Mom, I think it's time we set things straight," she said. I nodded slowly, unsure what she meant. "We've been patient, but it's clear this isn't working. You need to understand that Samir and I have a life together now, and your presence, it's becoming a problem." I swallowed. My hands tightened around the tea towel I was holding. I felt my chest constrict, my vision blur. I wanted to speak, to defend myself, to tell her that I had raised him, loved him, and sacrificed for him every day of his life. But I didn't. My voice felt small, fragile, useless. I just want to be part of his life," I said softly, my words trembling. Ayesha's eyes were sharp, cold. "You are part of his past, not his present. We need space. You need to leave. Leave." That one word echoed in my mind, leave. After all these years, after every sleepless night, every scraped knee, every tear wiped away, I was being asked to leave. Samir walked in then. I looked at him, searching for the boy I had raised, the man I had taught to be kind, but he didn't meet my eyes. His shoulders were tense, his face unreadable. "Mom," he started, his voice low. "And I think she's right. Maybe it's better if you stay somewhere else for now." I nodded. I smiled. My throat was tight, but I smiled. I didn't cry, not yet. I packed my small suitcase quietly, feeling as though the weight of the world was pressing down on me. Every step to the door felt heavier than the last. I paused, looking at my son one last time. He avoided my gaze. He didn't say goodbye, and in that silence, I felt something shatter inside me. I left that house that morning, carrying only a suitcase and a heart full of memories. Memories of the boy I had raised, the man I had hoped he would become. Memories of bedtime stories, laughter, and quiet moments we had shared. Memories that now felt like they belonged to someone else. The weeks that followed were the hardest I had ever known. I stayed with a distant cousin, someone who welcomed me with kind eyes and soft words, but no home could replace the one I had lost. Every morning, I woke up to the emptiness of a room that wasn't mine. Every evening, I went to bed with the ache of absence pressing against my chest. I tried to reach Samir. I sent messages, called him softly, left notes. But each time, the response was the same, polite, distant, careful not to include me in the life they were building. And then came the day I saw it. I didn't go to the house, not physically, but I saw it. I learned from a mutual friend that Samir and Ayesha were talking about me, laughing at the idea that I was clingy, that I didn't understand boundaries, that I was somehow an obstacle in their life together. I sat in my cousin's living room staring at the floor, feeling a mixture of sorrow and disbelief. I had raised him right. I had taught him love, patience, respect. And yet he was forgetting. Slowly, quietly, almost imperceptibly, he was forgetting me. The turning point wasn't just the day I left. It was the day I realized that he could choose her over me, that he could forget the lessons I had taught him, that the bond we had shared could be diminished by someone else's influence, that my love, my sacrifices, my presence could be erased. I cried that night, softly, quietly, not out of anger, not out of resentment, but out of heartbreak. The kind of heartbreak that comes from losing someone who is still alive, someone who has simply drifted away. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Each phone call, each message, each passing day was a reminder of how distant he had become. I would imagine him in his house, laughing with her, sharing moments I had once shared with him. And I would sit in silence, holding on to memories that seemed more like ghosts than reality. One afternoon, I decided to go back, not to reclaim my place, not to fight, but to see him. To see if the boy I had raised still existed behind the walls she had built around him. I walked to the front door of the house, my heart beating faster than I had imagined possible. I rang the bell softly, almost hesitantly. The door opened, and there he was, Samir. His eyes widened slightly, a mixture of surprise and guilt. "Mom, you shouldn't be here," he said softly. "I just wanted to see you," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. Ayesha appeared behind him, her eyes narrowing. "I told you to leave," she said sharply. "I know," I said. "I know. I had to see him." "Please." Samir stepped forward, hesitating. I could see the conflict in his eyes. He wanted to speak, to defend me, perhaps even to comfort me, but he didn't. He was trapped between love for me and loyalty to her. We stood there, three people in a doorway, the silence heavy between us. And then he made his choice. "We have our life now, Mom," he said finally. "Please understand." That was the moment I realized it. That no matter how much I had given him, no matter how much I had loved him, no matter how right I had raised him, he was not mine to keep. I nodded. I smiled, even as tears ran down my cheeks. I stepped back, turned, and walked away. The turning point wasn't just leaving. It was understanding that love sometimes isn't enough. That even the strongest bond can be challenged by new forces, by influences we cannot control, by the choices of those we love. That realization broke me in a way I had never known. In the weeks that followed, I learned to live with that heartbreak. I learned to see the boy I raised in the man he had become. Even if that man no longer included me in his daily life, I learned that my love had shaped him, even if it wasn't enough to keep him close. And slowly, very slowly, I began to find small moments of peace. I started writing letters I didn't send, talking to him in my thoughts, remembering the laughter, the hugs, the soft nights when he was a child. The turning point had brought pain, yes, but it also brought clarity. I realized that I had done my best, that my love, my guidance, my patience had not been wasted, that even if he chose another path, the boy I raised, the good, kind, loving boy, was still inside the man he had become. It was a painful lesson, one that left scars on my heart, but it was also a lesson in letting go, in understanding, in quiet strength. I began to walk again in the mornings, sit by the river, and let the sunlight warm my face. I learned to breathe slowly, deeply. I learned to accept the absence that had entered my life. I learned that love doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes it means stepping back, and in that space, in the quiet moments, I felt a strange kind of hope. a hope that perhaps one day my son would remember. Not just the influence of another, but the love, the care, the sacrifices that had shaped him. Until that day, I had to live with the turning point. I had to live with the knowledge that sometimes the people we love most choose differently than we hope. And I had to carry that heartbreak with quiet dignity, letting it shape me, but not destroy me. The months after that day were quiet, slower than I had ever imagined life could be. I had left my home, my son, the life I had built, and yet I was still alive. The sadness lingered like a soft fog, pressing against my chest, but I began to notice small things. The sunlight through the trees, the sound of birds in the morning, the warmth of a neighbor's smile. I started visiting the little park near my cousin's house. At first, I went just to sit on the benches and watch the world move without me. Children would run by laughing, chasing kites or balls, and I would smile softly, remembering Samir at that age. He had once run down the sidewalk with the energy of the wind, his small hand clutching mine. I would close my eyes and picture him there, even though he was now far away, both in distance and in life. I began writing in a journal I hadn't touched in years. I wrote letters to Samir that I never sent. I poured out my sorrow, my love, my regrets, and even my moments of pride. I wrote about the boy he had been, the man he had become, and the mother who had tried so hard to stay close. Writing became a way to breathe again, a way to feel alive in a world that had become quiet and empty. One evening, as I sat by the window, I realized something I hadn't allowed myself to see before. My love for Samir had never been about control or possession. It had never been about keeping him near. It had always been about shaping him into a kind, strong, and thoughtful human being. And even if he no longer sought my presence every day, even if her influence had built walls between us, that love had left its mark. I remembered a small moment from his childhood, one that had stayed with me all these years. He had come to me after a school project, frustrated and upset. He had said, "Mom, I can't do it. It's too hard." And I had held his small hands in mine and said, "You can. You just have to try. I believe in you." That belief, that quiet, steadfast faith in him had shaped him. I realized then that even if he was distant now, the boy I raised was still alive in him. And for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of peace. I also began noticing small ways life was giving me new purpose. I helped at the local community center, teaching children how to read and write. I spent afternoons preparing simple meals for elderly neighbors. I discovered that when I gave my love and care to others, it didn't vanish. It multiplied. It didn't replace the loss of my son's attention, but it eased the ache. One day, a friend from the neighborhood came to visit. She noticed the change in me, the quiet calm that had begun to settle over my spirit. "You're stronger than I thought," she said softly. I smiled, feeling a lump in my throat. "I had to be," I said. "I had no choice. But I'm learning it's not weakness to let go. It's not weakness to step back and let life take its course." Sometimes, I still thought about Samir. I thought about him laughing with her, talking to friends, moving through life as if I were only a memory. And yes, my chest still ached. But I no longer felt powerless. I had accepted that I couldn't control his choices, and that acceptance brought a strange sort of freedom. One afternoon, I decided to write a letter to him. Not to confront, not to demand, not even to beg, just to speak from my heart. I wrote softly, carefully, letting my emotions flow freely. "My dear Samir, I hope you are happy. I hope you are kind and thoughtful, as I know you are. I know life has changed, and I know you have chosen a path that may not include me every day. But I want you to know I am proud of you. Always proud, always loving you. No matter what happens, I am here in spirit, and my love will never fade." I folded the letter, placed it in an envelope, and kept it in my drawer. I didn't send it. It wasn't for him. It was for me. It was my way of letting go, my way of acknowledging the love that had shaped him, and the love that could survive even distance and absence. In the quiet moments, I started reflecting on what I had learned. I realized that life isn't always fair. Sometimes the people we love most choose differently than we hope. Sometimes the bonds we have spent years building are tested, stretched, and even broken. And yet, even in loss, there is growth. Even in absence, there is meaning. I also learned forgiveness. Not just for him, not just for her, but for myself. I forgave myself for the times I had worried too much, for the times I had tried to hold on too tightly, for the moments I had felt powerless. I forgave them both for their choices, for the ways they had built distance, and for the pain it caused. Forgiveness wasn't about excusing what had happened. It was about freeing my own heart from the chains of anger and hurt. Slowly, I began to see small signs of healing. I would visit the park, watch children play, and smile without sadness. I would sit in my quiet room, write letters, and feel the weight lift, even slightly. I would call friends and neighbors, share stories, offer help, and feel connected again. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, painting the sky with soft oranges and pinks, I realized that I had found peace, not the kind of peace that erases pain, not the kind that removes longing, but the kind that lives quietly in the heart. A gentle, enduring peace that lets you carry your love without being crushed by absence. And then it came. The first small moment that made my heart lighter. A simple text from Samir, just one line, "Thinking of you today, Mom." It wasn't a full reunion. It wasn't a sign that everything was restored, but it was enough. Enough to remind me that love, even stretched and tested, still has a way of finding its path. I realized then that life continues even after heartbreak, that we can live fully even when part of our heart is distant, that the love we give doesn't vanish. It transforms, it endures, it nurtures. I began to dream again, quietly. Small dreams at first, visiting new places, helping more children, writing stories. I allowed myself to hope that one day, Samir might reconnect fully. But even if he didn't, I knew I was stronger, gentler, and more resilient than I had ever been. And so, my life continued. Not as it once had, but in a way that was mine. I had learned that letting go doesn't mean giving up. That love doesn't always require presence, but it always requires patience, understanding, and faith. I began to see beauty in the little things again. The smell of fresh rain, the sound of children's laughter, the gentle sway of trees in the wind. These small joys reminded me that life, even when it breaks our hearts, is still precious, still full of meaning. And in my quiet moments, I would close my eyes and remember him, the boy I had raised, the man he had become, the son I had loved fiercely. I felt gratitude for the years we had shared, for the lessons we had learned together, for the love that remained, even across the distance. In time, I understood the most important lesson: love is not about holding on. Love is about giving freely, nurturing quietly, and trusting that even when life separates us, the bond remains. It changes shape, it moves, but it never disappears. And that was enough. Years have passed since that day I left my home. And yet, the memories linger. Not as sharp pain, but as quiet lessons etched into my heart. I've learned that life doesn't always follow the path we imagine. People we love may drift away, and sometimes the choices of others can leave us feeling invisible. But even in absence, love remains. I still think of Samir often. Sometimes I imagine him laughing in the living room. Sometimes I picture him as a child, running toward me with open arms. Both images bring a smile and a soft ache, side by side. I've learned to hold both, joy and sorrow, together. They coexist quietly, like shadows in the evening sunlight. I visit the park more often now, sit on the benches, watch the children play, and let their laughter remind me of all the little moments that matter. I volunteer at the community center, help prepare meals for the elderly, and offer guidance to children who remind me of Samir at that age. In giving love to others, I feel my heart heal a little more each day. One afternoon, a neighbor asked me, "How do you stay so calm, even after everything?" I smiled softly. I learned that love doesn't always mean holding on. Sometimes it means letting go, trusting, and carrying it quietly in your heart. It never truly leaves you. And it's true. Even though my son chose a path that distanced him from me, the bond we share, made of years of care, laughter, and guidance, remains. It lives in the memories, in the lessons I taught, in the quiet pride I feel for the man he has become. I've come to understand that life is made of moments, some bright, some painful. And the ones that hurt the most often teach us the most. I've learned patience, forgiveness, and quiet strength. I've learned that our love can survive absence, misunderstanding, and time. Sometimes, when the evening sun casts long shadows across the streets, I close my eyes and whisper a small prayer, not for the past, but for the future. For happiness, for understanding, for healing, for Samir, for myself. And in those moments, I feel peace, a soft, enduring peace that tells me everything will be okay. That life will continue to unfold in its own way, that love will find a path even when the road is difficult, and that we are stronger than we know. I have learned this: loving deeply doesn't mean we always stay close. Sometimes, loving deeply means letting go, trusting, and carrying the love quietly inside, like a lantern in the dark. It will guide us, it will warm us, and one day, perhaps, it will guide others back to us, too. So now I walk slowly through life, carrying both the memories and the hope. I smile at the children in the park, greet my neighbors warmly, and let the soft moments fill my heart. I live in the present, honoring the past, and trusting that love, quiet, patient, unwavering love, never truly leaves us, and that is enough.